Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and we've got another quick little Valentine's craft. I'm going to give you a couple of options as we go along. But for this, we're actually going to be using tea towels. So you could check out your local dollar store for a tea towel. This one happens to be red and kind of gray striped, and it has this cute little embroidery end. So we're going to take advantage of that. And let me fold it over to start. Now, what I have done is I folded a piece of paper in half and cut out a heart. And this one was not quite the size and shape I was after. This one's a little better. So what I am going to do is, because I want to make at least 2 of these while I'm at it, so I've got this folded over. I'm just going to use this patterned section on the front of each. So this means I'm cutting out 2 fronts right now. I don't think that with my broken finger I could manage 4 layers. So it just makes things a little more awkward. And I got weeks to go, and then we'll see if how physio works for me. Okay, so just so that I could manage, I'm gonna cut the bottom off first so they're not dragging the big towel, but I'm just going to follow. Now, let me just point out, this has got the big seam on either side. I am not including that, so I'm cutting that part off, but that seam, because that's very cute with the stripes, I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna use that for ribbons later, or I'll give you an option with your heart of what you can do with it. So because of that, I'm gonna cut straight down so that I'm leaving that seam available for future uses. Just a little forethought sometimes, guys. I lost the recording of this, but what I did do was I cut out a tiny little square that I sewed in a U shape onto the front, which means I sewed 3 sides, leaving the top open, before I'm going to be sewing the front to the back of the hearts. And you want to make sure that you're leaving a space to be able to stuff them. I did a couple of small hearts that I'm making into sachets. So for those, I left a little bit of a side area available for me to be able to stuff through and sew up the hole. For the big hearts like this one, I left the bottom open where the point of the heart is, because I'm going to want to insert a stick. And so I need to leave that space available for them. But you can see on the little heart on the right that I've got that little square pocket sewn onto the one piece. I'd sewed all the pockets first, and then I was able to sew all of them front and back together. Because I am sewing a rough edge, I want to have it frayed. I'm doing the right sides facing out. If you wanted to be able to turn them so that you have a smooth edge, then face your good sides together. And once they're sewn, you'll turn them out through the stuffing hole. So hopefully that makes some sense for you as you start to go through this. I had enough trouble making sure that I could get the sewing machine working. You can see by my face, it's not my favorite activity. But we muddle through what we need to do, don't we? You can always hot glue it. Once they're sewn together, it's time to stuff them. These ones, the little ones, the sachets, they are going to get sewn as the finishing touch, unless you started off by gluing all of them. So you're just going to take some of your little fiber fill and you're going to start just stuffing it in there. If this is where you realize, oh, I made the hole too small, or whatever. If you need to, take a little spoon or a stick and help that to be able to get it up into the corners. If you are making this into a scented sachet, and let's say you were adding some loose lavender or something like this, this is also when you would add it in. And you just kind of stuff it until you have enough stuffing in it. And so what we're gonna do is we stuff this till it's full, and then we're just gonna sew up that little hole again so our stuffing doesn't come out. And then this one is done. Nice and easy. And again, that little pouch then, and I've got one finished, so I'll show you. So all I did was, this one needs one more bunch of stuffing in it, just at the bottom. So we've got the tops all nicely filled. We need the bottom. And I just added a couple of little sprigs in there. So it's just cute. It can be an add-on. You could, you know, attach a little string or a little ribbon if you wanted to be able to hang it, attach it onto a different present. If it's a sachet, it can just go into a drawer. You could, of course, stick in here any kind of greenery or florals, little suckers, you know, a little wrapped chocolate if you wanted something like that. Makes it a little bit more giftable. Let me just show you the bigger one. So the bigger one, we have the opening. Oh, I made this one tiny. Oh, okay, I'm gonna be stuffing for a while. We did the opening right at the point because we're going to be adding a stick to this one. I envision this being something that, you know, Valentine's is a time that a lot of people gift flowers. So whether, you know, if it's a potted plant, adding something like this into it would just be a nice little handmade little touch, right? So you could do that. The other thing that you could do is you could make this little pocket bigger and big enough to hold a gift card. So maybe you're gifting a little potted plant or some, you know, bouquet of flowers. You also add this into it and it's got a little gift card in it. Or maybe it's just got your little love note, right? Maybe you're just adding in a little card or a little saying, a little poem, I mean, something like that for a personal touch. So I'm gonna finish stuffing this, and then I'll come back to you to show you how to finish this one off with the stick. To finish off the big one, I am just taking a skewer because it's gonna go down into something. You can, I mean, simply stick it up in there and then glue everything closed. What I like to do, and I just want to pop a little bit extra in there, because the skewer will kind of work its way through your polyfill and may start poking out. So what I like to do is get a bit of my polyfill out and ready, and take my glue gun and put a bunch of glue on the end and then roll it into the polyfill. So it's just, I want a bunch of it to stay stuck on this so that when I stick it up into my heart or whatever shape I have, it's a little bit thicker and more substantial than just the stick, and so it's more likely to not be popping through right away. Okay, and then I'll just add a little bit more around it to just sort of anchor it in there, and then I'm going to work my fabric out. And I'm going to take my hot glue, and now this is where be careful and mindful of your fingers, because I want to glue that down. I just kind of squeeze it out to let it sort of line itself up before I start trying to attach anything. And there's our little heart on a stick. So I'm going to add in a little bit of embellishments and we'll see how it goes. But the one thing that I did do, you can see the little word love there. I got these little tiny word blocks from the dollar store. So I pulled out the L and the O and the V and the E, kind of makes sense. Took them into my stamp pad, okay? And I'm holding them all together. I guess you could do it one at a time, but it just seemed like extra work. So I did all of them together and then stamped them down. And I practiced on my paper here first to make sure I could do it. But you could stamp any kind of saying that you want. And again, depending upon the fabric, because you could use any kind of fabric. So if it was plainer, it wasn't as busy as this, then you could have stamped all kinds of other sayings and words and personal messages to whomever you're gifting it to. And here's our finished little project. So we've got our little Valentine's hearts on the sticks to be able to put into planters, into bouquets. Again, you can make this little pocket square whatever size makes sense for what you want to use it for. If you're tucking in candies, make it big enough for that. Gift card, you know, little florals, whatever's working for you. And then the little sachets, again, add whatever kind of scent makes sense to you, or just simply put a ribbon on them to be able to hang them from a gift or packages. Let me know what you think of these, guys. Super quick, super easy, super sweet. We're using a dollar store dish towel. Nothing could be less expensive, but a little bit more touching perhaps than just simply a card. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Love seeing you, love seeing your comments, and until the next time, take care.